All right. Good afternoon, everyone in New York, and for California, good morning. This is Jonathan Lipp from the Big Apple Film Festival, and we are speaking today. This is sort of, sort of a niche, uh, conversation in terms of screenwriting. We're talking about holiday scripts, and because of the time of year, we figured it'd be a good time to have this discussion about writing, Christmas scripts, holiday scripts, for streaming platforms, and of course for these networks like the Hallmark Channel and Lifetime Network that present a lot of these holiday films. So we have with us Bob Sance, who is an accomplished screenwriter who's written numerous films, and many of which were holiday films. Bob has written films like The Sounds of Christmas and Perfect on Paper and Sweet Surrender, Help for the Holidays, The Right Girl. He's a project. It's on, I believe it's on Hulu now. The Christmas Yule blog, and then he has his film Extracurricular Activities, which is not a holiday film, but just going to mention that as well, and we'll talk about that. But yeah, we want to talk about writing holiday scripts, and there are screenwriters out there that sort of are focusing on this market. And so let me ask Bob if you could tell us a little bit about your career and how you got into screenwriting, how it all started for you, and then how you ended up writing these holiday films for the Hallmark Channel and such. Oh, is this? I think it's. Are you muted? Is it?
There I am. Am I muted now?
No, you're good. Thank
All right,
you.
good. Hi. No, I started writing because I was really set on being an actor and did pretty well. Was on a TV series for 6 years called Nash Bridges. Had a recurring role. Whoops, I'm not that big. And it occurred to me that I could keep working as an actor, but I wasn't going to make any money. And I started looking at the scripts on the show, and I thought, and I looked at the scripts and the movies that I'd done, and I thought, I could do this. And so I started writing and found out I was a better writer than I was an actor, and kept writing and kept working at it and kept using my networking that I had done on sets, and finally wrote a script that a lot of people really liked, which was Extracurricular Activities. And it's a very dark comedy thriller that's very kind of twisted. And a lot of people liked it and liked the voice and liked the plot and liked how different it was. And I got a manager from that script eventually. And he sent the script to somebody that he knew was a producer who was looking for writers. And she read it and loved it and contacted me and said, I'm producing Hallmark films. And I said, well, it's like the anti Hallmark film. You know that. And she said, yes, but I really liked the voice. Do you think you could write a Christmas movie? And I said, heck yeah, I'll write anything you want. And it ended up being Help for the Holidays, which was the largest rated Christmas movie on Hallmark for the year 2012. And it was huge, and it's ended up becoming one of their staples. And from there, I just started writing movies for Christmas movies and romantic comedies for Hallmark and Lifetime, and still keep writing. I mean, I just optioned my horror movie that I wrote, and it didn't stop me from writing the kind of twisted stuff that I really like to write. But it's a I love being able to write for people what they want, because it's a skill that every screenwriter needs to have. And I've talked about this, and I talked about it in my book, that you, as a screenwriter, you need to have certain skills if you want to keep screenwriting, if you want to do it, because selling scripts is about 2% of what a screenwriter does. The rest of what they do is assignment work, which is rewriting scripts, being hired to write scripts, being hired to adapt books or adapt things for scripts. Those are where you make all your money as a screenwriter. So that's what you have to work on. So that's what I did. I learned kind of on the job to write within whatever brand the people had. Like Hallmark has a brand, and Lifetime has a brand, and Netflix has a brand, and you have to learn what those brands are and work within those brands.
And a lot of writers, they ask about agents. How to get an agent, or do I need an agent? All the jobs that you get when Hallmark or Lifetime or whoever contacts you to write a Christmas script or any script in general, does that all go through your agency? Like
Sometimes it goes through my reps, and sometimes they just send me an email or call me and say, "Hey, are you interested in a job?" I still pay my reps for that, and they do negotiate the deals because I like to be hands off when it comes to negotiating for money. The less rancor you have between you and the producers yourself, and the more that it comes from your reps, the better you are as a writer.
yeah.
It keeps you out of the fray. But yeah, it comes from both places. But I option scripts. I option extracurricular at least 5 times before I got a rep. I optioned about 4 or 5 of my other scripts before I ever got a rep. I did it through networking, but I have a friend who, through query letters and producers, has had 4 of his films produced before he got a rep. You don't need a rep to get your scripts out there. It's hard, but it's still possible. You don't just look for a rep or just look for producers. When you're querying your stuff, you query to everybody. There's no hard and fast rule that one at a time. You can query 100 people at a time and see who responds and who wants to hear back from you.
And like with extracurricular activities, getting away just from the Christmas stuff for a sec, where extracurricular activities, there was some great name talent there, like Angela Kinsey, who won a SAG award for The Office, and Timothy Simons, who I believe also won a SAG award for Veep.
And an Emmy, I think.
Or an Emmy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that type of cast, were they attached first before you sold it, or you sold the script and then
I sold the script, and the producers hired a casting agent and went out and cast it. I was just thrilled with all the people that were in it. There were actors from Seinfeld and Better Call Saul and Bobby Lee and Arden Mirren, all kinds of people that are in it that I was just absolutely, beside myself, happy who they got. This is the DVD. If anybody wants to watch it, it's a very, very, very dark R-rated comedy, and it's on Amazon Prime now for free.
So right. Okay, so let's say, and I'm sure Bob has a book as well, and we'll talk about the book in a little bit, but I'm sure you address this in your book. But one of the big questions for screenwriters is how to get an agent. So let's say there's a writer on here who has a Christmas script, a holiday script, and they want to try to pitch it to Lifetime or the Hallmark Channel, and they need a representative in order to do that. They need an agent. How would they maybe approach an agent? What are some
one of the things you do is you go on. One of the things that you have to do as a writer, if you want to be a screenwriter, you have to invest in your business, because it's a business. The business of screenwriting is not your scripts. It's you as a writer. You're the one that needs to be, you're what they invest in. Okay. Because it's your skill, whether, so they can like something, like in the case of extracurricular activity, where they really liked what I wrote, but they bought me as a writer to write something else for them. You're the product as a screenwriter. So you have to invest in your business, which is you. And investing in your business means paying for some things. And one of the things that most writers need to pay for is IMDb Pro. IMDb Pro is not IMDb. It's a whole different thing. And probably the people who are watching here know about it already, but I need to say it anyway. IMDb Pro is a really interesting thing because it has a lot more information on it than IMDb does. IMDb is for people who watch a movie and then get on there and go, who was the writer, or who was this person who played this part, or who directed it, or what else have they done, and all this stuff. But IMDb Pro, you can go on there, find the Christmas movies that you like, look who repped those writers, and then send those reps a query letter, because they rep writers that do Christmas movies. It's called targeted querying, and it's what every writer should do. If you write a horror movie, you certainly don't want to start querying producers that do Christmas movies. That's probably not very smart. So you look at horror movies that are out there and you see who produced those, and you query them. It's just targeted querying, and it's a really smart thing to do. You do the same thing with reps. Don't go after CAA or any of the huge companies, because they're not interested in you until you have some success. What you want to look for is like boutique managers and like that. Agents don't want new writers at all. They want writers with success. They want writers who have a track record of success, because they don't want to have to develop them. But managers, there are a lot of managers out there that will take really good new writers that show promise and will help develop them so they can make money with them. And so what you want to do is look for managers first and not agents, because agents really won't touch you. I didn't have an agent till way after I had like probably half a dozen films.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, at what point in your career did you get the agent? Was it after you
it was six. I had already had 6 or 8 films produced by the
6 or 8
time
films that had been produced already?
yeah.
So stuff that was been on Amazon, Hallmark Channel, Lifetime, and then
and Lifetime and Amazon and wherever else it ended up.
Right.
It wasn't until I had a solid track record of success, and they knew that I was going to keep working. And then, even then, they wanted to, the agent that I have now, he wanted to read 5 or 6 of my scripts to make sure that I had the quality of my work was the same throughout the other spec scripts I had.
And do you have a manager and an agent?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. And let me just say, if I'm assuming some of the writers on here have a holiday or Christmas script. So if you have a question about your script, and you want to put
Well,
it
also, here's what I'm going to do on the chat part of this thing.
Mhm.
I'm going to put my email in.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay.
I'll tell you why. Let's see if I got it right. Yes, I did.
Did it go to?
No, it didn't. There we go. On the Zoom chat, you're going to see my email.
Oh wait, hold on. It has to go to all panelists, all attendees, and panelists.
All right. Let me try it again.
Yeah, there's like a drop down.
I got it.
Yeah.
And that was my bad.
Let's see.
Try that again. There we go. There's my email. I have put together, because I've done a few of these seminars on Hallmark, that I have put together a couple of forms that one of them explains what's in a Hallmark movie and what their brand is, and the other one explains how their 9 acts work and where they go. And they're really kind of invaluable pieces of paper for anybody who's just starting to build a Hallmark movie or craft a Hallmark movie. So, or even a Lifetime movie, which you have more room to move in a Lifetime movie than you do in a Hallmark movie.
When you're hired by Hallmark and Lifetime,
two different deals.
Oh, got it.
Lifetime Hallmark's box is this big, and Lifetime's box is this big.
Oh.
You can do more. I just did a Lifetime movie this year, and they allowed me to do much more than they ever would have allowed me to do in a Hallmark movie.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, do they give you like a format? Is there sort of guidance?
No, you're supposed to know.
Oh.
You're supposed to kind of know what's expected of those movies. They'll if you're close and they like what you're doing, you're fine, because they get rewritten 25 times anyway. But the more you know, the more you have a chance of succeeding. So I put together these forms, and if you email me and say, I was on the Big Apple Film Festival thing with you this morning, would you please send me those forms?
Mhm.
Yeah, I will send you one, and if you want, and if you request it, I can send you one of my my produced Hallmark scripts so that you can look and see what they look like because you can't find them anywhere online. The
Oh,
Hallmark
cool.
scripts are just really hard to find.
Oh, thanks a lot for that. Really appreciate it.
That's
Thank
my
you.
pleasure.
Yeah.
I want to help people. I mean, I had a lot of help when I first started. There were some amazing writers and producers and creative people in this industry who knew me through my acting, who really stepped up and helped me when they didn't have to. And it's the least I can do to kind of give back because I literally would not be where I am and have the success I've had without the real kind of selfless help that I got.
Hmm.
And there's no reason why you don't just kind of give that back.
No, well, that's awesome. Thank you very much. Yeah, very cool. Thank you. And yeah, if anybody has any questions at the moment about your holiday script or any script or anything about screenwriting, you can put it into the Q&A box as well. And so let me ask you, let's say somebody on here has, let's just say a Christmas script and they want to try to get it to Hallmark or Lifetime.
A Lifetime and Hallmark don't buy Hallmark does, but they have their own production company, but they produce a couple of scripts a year
Mhm.
only. They Hallmark last year I think did 58,
Oh,
48 Christmas movies. Um, they get theirs through production companies
ah,
and through producers. And those are the people that bring them the ideas and the scripts. What you want to do is again go on IMDb Pro, look up the Christmas movies, look at the companies that produce them, look at the producers who produce them, and query those producers. Don't do it before you're ready. Don't do it before you have something that fits the Hallmark mold. I keep People keep sending me these script ideas that they do and saying, "Hey, I did this for Hallmark," and I go, "Hallmark would never produce that. Hallmark would never buy this movie because of A, B, C, and D.
hmm.
Their plot line, they don't do that. You watch Hallmark movies, look what they do, look what is in their films, and then conform to that. They are never going to conform to what you're doing. They have a brand that they stick to. Lifetime does too.
Do they have outside production companies or is it all internal?
Tons of them.
Oh, they do. Okay.
They do. Yeah, they're 90 more than 90% of their films are done by outside production companies.
That they
They
already have.
they have a say in the development of the script and the casting and all that stuff because they're putting money into it after the producers bring them the projects. But but the producers vet the projects. They bring the projects to Hallmark and Lifetime and to now Netflix, who's doing Christmas films, and Amazon, I hear, is going to get into the Christmas film business next year. And there are new places. There's like Up TV, and there's other things that other channels now that are Pop TV, and some of these other places that are Ion TV, who does some Christmas films. So there are more places now that are getting into the Christmas movie business.
Right. There's a question over here in the chat box. Does film festival help if you have won awards and have you directed any of your films?
Uh, uh, I have not directed any of my films. I have no interest in directing. It's not in my skill set. I know too many. I've been really lucky is in my acting career. I got to be on set with Coppola twice, Clint Eastwood twice. I worked for them as an actor. Scorsese once, Michael Bay once, um, uh, who else? Ron Howard once, David Fincher once, and I watch these people and I see how hard they work and I see what is entailed as a director, and I'm too old to learn all that stuff. I would be a good producer. I figured that out, and I've talked to, and now I'm getting a few producing credits, and I'm some of the things I've got out there now. I've got producer credits attached for me too, and I'll do a little of that. But as far as directing, that's a skill set that you in order to work for, like, for Hallmark. No way do they let you direct one of your movies. Not until you've got a big long track record of successfully directing.
Yeah. And also this part, the first part of this question, film festivals. I don't know if that is that
I
your.
you know I don't know any film festivals that really do Christmas movies. There are a couple. I have one now out on Amazon Prime called The Farmer and the Bell: Saving Santa Land, which was not a Hallmark movie. In fact, when they came to me with it, they said, we're thinking about, we get this movie going, we want to try and get it to Hallmark. And I said the same thing that I said earlier. There is no way Hallmark takes this movie. A, it's too funny.
Mhm.
B, the plot line is not what they would do. There are things in it that there's no way they would put in one of their movies. And and good for the producers of this movie that they said, okay. And then they sent it to Hallmark anyway, and Hallmark said no. But the fact is that now it's on Amazon and it was on VOD, and it's doing super well. It's a very funny movie, but it did win best screenplay at a film festival last year. So, yes, if you've got a film that's really good at a film festival, yes, for Christmas movies, uh, Christmas movies going to be a tough sell at a screenwriting contest, I think.
Did it can a filmmaker with a completed project pitch their film to Hallmark or Lifetime or something like that, or is it all done internally?
Yes, they can, but they have to go through agents or through other producers that Hallmark knows, or there are ways. But again, if your completed film A has to have actors that are recognizable to Hallmark, that Hallmark likes and knows, because they aren't going to take a bunch of unknown actors. Period. They don't do it. They will not do that. And B, they want something that fits into their box. If your film fits into their box, sure, they have acquisition people
They do.
who
Yeah.
look at films. Yeah, absolutely.
Jackie has a question here. If you have a romantic comedy script and no name recognition, is it the producer or managers you start with in that space via queries? And how much of the script do you send? A treatment?
Well, if you have a romantic comedy and produce, you send a query letter. A query letter is a very short email that says, "Hi, my name is, and I have a romantic comedy that I think fits exactly what you've been doing. And here's the log line," and then you do a 25 to 40 word log line that says what the script is about, and then you say, "Would you like to read the script?" That's it. If you want to see I'm going to hawk the book now, because in my book called "That's Not the Way It Works," um, there's a whole chapter on how to write a query letter, and I've had people that have gotten back to me after getting this book and using using the query letter, the templates that I put out there, saying that they've had much better success than they had before with the big long query letters. Producers don't want to spend more than 15 to 20 seconds reading a query letter. They're not going to read a big long thing with a synopsis or anything. They want to read it, see if they like the log line. If they do, they'll request the script for one of their readers to read.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Um, what about like these services like the Blacklist and Inktip, Virtual Pitch Fest? Are you familiar with any of those? Do you recommend?
Blacklist, when the Blacklist first started, I put a script on it because I wanted to see what it was like, and I even had a rep at the time. I put a script on it because I thought, I'm going to see what is what with it, and so I did, and it got eights and nines, and a production company in New York optioned it from the Blacklist,
Oh,
and it was probably one of the first few or a couple that ever got optioned directly from having it on the blacklist.
Wow.
They held on to it for 3 years and kept paying me option money, and they never made it, and ended up getting it back.
Oh.
Well, 95% of option scripts don't get made. So it's all a crapshoot. And so, again, I'm going to say getting a film made is a miracle. Getting a good film made is another miracle. So a good film is a two miracle film. It's a long haul to get a script sold and a movie made. But the blacklist, you have just as much chance there as you do with a query letter. It's about the same percentage of success, but it's just a heck of a lot more expensive on the blacklist.
Right.
Okay?
Now, so would you say
Big tip is okay if you've got a super low budget movie. If you got a movie that costs over $1 million,
yeah.
there's just really nobody on there to produce it. Most of the producers looking for films on Inktip are looking under $1 million budget film. And you just, like any other thing, and I'll say this again, you have to learn to write to budget. Good screenwriters know how to write to a budget. They know how to write. They know what to write in a film to keep the budget down, how to write a film to keep the budget down. When I go to work for a Hallmark movie, or a producer that's asking me to write a Hallmark movie or a movie for anybody, one of the first questions I ask them is, what's the budget? How much money do you have for this film? Because usually they have between $1 and $5 million. And if it's $3.5 million, I know exactly what to put in the film to keep it under that amount. Again, I'll do this again. In the book, there's an entire chapter about writing to budget, how to write to budget. And you'll hear a lot of people tell you in screenwriting groups and screenwriting things, oh, don't worry about your budget on your movie. They'll just fix it if they like it. It's not true. It is absolutely untrue. Producers aren't going to fix anything. They want to find films that fit what they're looking for. That's what they want. Right now, huge budget scripts are not selling. Period. Disney hasn't bought a spec script in 5 years. And the way they're hemorrhaging money right now, they're not going to be buying one for a while. And then they bought Fox. And Fox isn't going to be buying any new scripts for a while. MGM is up for sale. They're not going to be buying any spec scripts. So that leaves only like three companies that can buy big budget spec scripts. And they're really only buying a couple a year. So if you're writing this big budget spectacle, the chances of selling that are really, really, really small.
So would you say it's best for writers now to focus on
right now
budget projects?
$1 to $5 million is selling. Those movies are actually selling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there are producers who have that kind of money still, even in COVID land. They have that kind of money to buy to make those kinds of scripts.
Can they produce?
Those are what the Hallmark Christmas movies are anyway. They're between $1 and $5 million. Some of them are under $1 million. Up TV and Pop TV and Ion TV, those average about $750,000. Those movies.
Are they producing? I mean, with the whole COVID thing right now, are they producing new projects for Hallmark and like?
Well, they have to, because they have to fill that channel. They're filming them everywhere. They're filming them in Europe. They're filming them in the movie that I had on Lifetime this year, which is called The Christmas Yule Blog, which was set in New Mexico, was shot in Canada. And they did a really good job making it look like New Mexico, but it was shot in Canada, and it was shot in July and August, right in the middle of the COVID stuff, and they spent an extra $250,000 on the COVID requirements.
So there are productions that are like screenwriters do have an opportunity still, even with the COVID thing, because
I had a really good year in 2020,
in terms of,
professionally. Personally, it's been a lot of junk that's been going on for 2020. It's not been great for anybody.
yeah.
But professionally, I had a really good year. I had two really good writing jobs. I had two movies that were released this year. I optioned a horror script. I wrote a novel that's getting some attention right now. Hopefully, we're getting some attention by a big publisher right now. There's a lot. I had a good year, and I wrote two original spec script, two other original spec scripts.
So is
And so, yes, I was busy, and there I know a lot of my friends that were busy, and I know some that weren't.
so
But
what,
but
what how much do you think COVID slowed down production?
oh, it ground to a halt for a while,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, right,
but
totally.
it
I mean,
didn't grind. But it didn't grind down development.
oh,
And
okay.
that's the secret. That's the difference. Grinding down production is one thing, but if you've got scripts developed in the pipeline so that when things open up, you can start making movies,
Mhm.
that's what they were doing. They have to, I mean, these people aren't going to sit around in their homes doing nothing.
Right.
And so these development executives and these producers are looking for product and looking for things that they can develop to get ready to go for during the COVID thing. And that's how the Christmas Yule blog happened.
Would you say we're still at a halt, or are they moving back into production?
No, there's some production going on.
Right.
I know that there's a lot of TV series that are still. California didn't, for some reason, movie making is on the list of essential things in California.
Mm,
So,
yeah.
who, whatever, for whatever reason, which I don't understand. Um, and so there's still that going on. So yeah,
Yeah. All right. So, and again, if anybody has any
just lots
questions,
of COVID protocols everywhere.
right, right. If anybody has any questions regarding their script or anything about just holiday script or screenwriting in general, feel free to put it in the chat box.
Ask me anything about screenwriting.
And,
I'm happy to answer you.
and by the way, there's a Jackie here says, "I'll read your book for sure, and especially chapter on writing to budget. What's the biggest tip you would give for writing to save on budget?"
There's a bunch of them. Keeping your, believe it or not, believe it or not, even your characters who say one line are expensive, because on most films there's Screen Actor Guild movies, and there's all kinds of costs that go along with having a Screen Actors Guild movie. And one of the things is that every character, even if they have one line, costs a lot of money. So you want to keep your characters down. You want to keep, have you ever watched a movie where somebody will run up to somebody and say, "Did you see where the guy went?" And they point? They pointed because they'd had to pay an extra to do that. And they didn't have to pay an actor to say, "Yeah, they went around the corner." Or if you see a couple and they're sitting in a room and they're the married couple, and the conversation is only with one of them, either the husband or the wife, and the other one sits there and goes, that's because the other one is an extra and they don't have to pay her to talk or him to talk. This is going to change the way you look at movies, but it's all about saving money, and it's all about keeping the. I try on the Hallmark movies to keep the number of speaking characters down to about 14 to 16 characters.
I see. Now, David had a question in the Q&A box here. Have you ever had a script already written and then altered it to fit the Hallmark 9-act structure?
Here's the thing about the 9-act structure, and when you read what I'll send you, you'll understand. I never even think about it when I write those movies. I write a complete story, and then because it's the timing of the structure is so kind of loose, that I find the places to put the act breaks after I write it. And it doesn't really matter. It matters to have them there, but it doesn't really matter because it's going to get rewritten 25 times before it ever sees the screen. And they're going to, even after, on Christmas Yule blog, even after we worked so hard to get the act spots right where they wanted them, when they edited it, they decided they wanted to change a couple of where they put the act breaks and had me rewrite a couple of scenes to fit where now they wanted to put the act breaks.
I see.
So I'll give you the act break thing. Write your script. You'll find amazingly, if you write a good story, that you'll be able to fit those act breaks in.
So they, anytime when you're hired to write a project for like Hallmark or Lifetime, is it usually then do they bring in other writers to edit it and make changes? Is that something that's common? Like, or
Oh
do
yeah, I mean on this movie, I
yeah.
was
Mhm.
I was the fifth writer hired.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, I was the fifth writer hired on that movie. I was the fifth person to be hired to rewrite that script, and
Right.
I completely took it apart. The last 35 pages of that script
Hmm.
are 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 all mine, and then the whole first part of it, I radically changed. I got rid of characters. I got rid of subplots. I did all kinds of things.
Right.
Um, there's a so yes, if you're a brand new writer and you've sold your first script to like Hallmark, there's going to be at least three other writers who are going to write after you, and what ends up on the screen might not have a single word you wrote in it. You'll have your name in it on it, and that's all you care about at this point. Honest. You can't be precious about what's in your script after you sell it, because they can change everything. I'll take it back to an example of selling a car. If you sell a car to somebody, you can't stop them from painting flames on it. And this is the same thing with the script. You can't stop them from painting flames on it.
Right.
They get to do what they want with it. So yes, they have their favorite writers. They have their writers they go to that that they will that you will be hired on. Help for the holidays. I was the third writer hired. I was the last writer that time, but I was the third writer hired. On Christmas Yule blog, they hired me. They had a story idea, and they hired me to write the story idea, and I was the only writer for the entire process. That's only happened twice in my career. Once with extracurricular, and once with Christmas Yule Ball, and it was
Wow.
fun and really great. But I've got a movie out there on Hallmark right now. I mean, that's out there on Hallmark that shows with my name on it and hasn't got a single word I wrote in the movie, not a
Wow.
single word.
That's amazing.
And well, yeah, and I hate it, but I hate it because I think it's terrible. But you know what's interesting about it is I got a letter from my cousin who said after she saw it, "This is the best one you ever did." So you never know what's going to hit with people, what's not going to hit with people, and
Mhm.
so a credit is a credit is a credit, and you just smile and go, "Thank you."
There was a question in the chat box. I'm not sure if this is an area you know about, but does animation and live scripts have the same format?
Yes,
It does. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Got it.
it's the same. It's the
Yeah.
same. If you're writing an animated film, absolutely. If you're writing an animated show, I don't know that much about that. What I would do is go online and find some scripts from animated shows and look at the format and
Mhm.
see what it's like. But I would assume that it's probably pretty much the same. Format is format is format. Uh, they want, there's a reason for everything in scripts, and in the book I explain it. But there's a reason why everything is formatted the way it is that helps production when they get there do what they need to do. So that's why you format it that way to begin with.
And you mentioned IMDb Pro. If a writer wants to try to pitch a, let's say, a Christmas film, would they go straight to Hallmark or Lifetime, or did it go to those outside production
No,
companies?
I would. You have better chance of Hallmark is getting their own their ones they produce themselves from writers they know. They're getting those from writers that they trust and know. They're not going to start taking scripts from people they don't know. So
Okay.
what I would do is I would look up producers who produce the Christmas scripts on Hallmark. Go look at Hallmark's. Get online and look at the Hallmark list of Christmas movies for this year, and then get on IMDb Pro and look at the production companies that made them, and look at the producers who made them, and query those people.
Yeah. Are there any other markets for I'm assuming there must be a huge market outside of Hallmark and Lifetime. Are there any other areas, any other markets you'd mention you would recommend pitching to? Maybe like
Yeah, I mean,
Amazon.
you're not going to pitch to, if you're a new writer, you're not going to pitch to anybody. Okay, you're going to query. They're not going to take the time to hear pitches from somebody who's brand new, because when a writer gets to the point where they can actually pitch a script, it's because the production company knows they can deliver, that
Mhm.
they can deliver on that pitch, that they can write something that they know is going to be good,
Yeah.
because they have a track record with them. Um, uh, that's when you get to pitch. It wasn't until way, way later in my career that I was able to go into a production company and actually pitch an idea or
Right.
pitch a script.
Um,
Uh,
yeah.
um, you need to query, but as far as Amazon, and look at some of the movies on Amazon,
Yeah, I was going
and
to say just for Madeline's question in the chat box. She said you said Amazon is moving into Christmas
I
movies.
have no idea what they're looking for. My guess is they would be looking for Hallmark type movies, because that's what sells right now, and that's what's got a huge audience. But I would be thinking that they wouldn't be so anal about what was in them. I would imagine that box at Hallmark, it's that big, will be this big at Amazon. So you'd probably be able to do more. Be more. I have a tendency, when I write my scripts, to have funny things in them, than jokes or funny situations in them. That before, with Hallmark, when I was first starting to write for them, they would say that was really funny. We can't do that.
Right.
And I think that in Amazon, there's more of a chance you could do that. In Hallmark movies, they don't want people who've been divorced, and they don't want people who've been. There's lots of things that you could probably get through in an Amazon movie that you
Yeah.
couldn't get through in a Hallmark.
Okay. Real quick, we have about like 2 or 3 minutes left. I'm just wondering, in the last couple minutes, if you could just give us a quick sort of synopsis of your book, like some of the chapters and sort of what it focuses on. I know you mentioned the one part about the writing for budget. Any other chapters in there that we should know about?
The book is two things. It's the first half of the book is basically what it takes to write a script, what you need to know. One of the things that I say in the book, and I'll say this to you now, is everybody thinks there's a bunch of rules that producers will throw your script away if you break these rules. Okay, there are no rules. There never was. They don't care. All they care about is what your story is like. The only rule they have is format, and you've got to learn how to format a script correctly. Okay, that you need to learn, and you need to know. And by that, you can use Final Draft or Fade In or whatever screenwriting program that you use will do that. And you just have to learn how to, within that program, learn how to use that program to format correctly. Other than that, you just have to write a great story. And that's what they're looking for. There are no rules about where things need to go when, and what needs to go where in a movie, the whole save the cat thing. It's not it That's all a bunch of baloney as far as I'm concerned. And I've been able to prove that by writing scripts that don't adhere to those things and selling them and having them get made. So that's one of the things that I talk about in the book. But the first half of the book is basically how to write a script, how to look to write good dialogue, how to come up with your characters, how to do a lot of things. The second half of the book is all about how to be a screenwriter, how to be in the business of screenwriting, what it is to be a screenwriter in the screenwriting business, the things that you have to do as a writer to market your script and to be in business once you've sold your script, how you sell yourself to to rewrite movies, and how you do all the business aspects of the screenwriting business, which most of the people who have read the book have said, and the reviews and the people in the industry have told me, has been really terrific, because there isn't another book like it that has those things in it.
Cool. And where can the book?
Anywhere you can get books. It's
Oh,
on Amazon. It's at Barnes and Noble. It's online at Barnes and Noble. It's in Apple. You can get it on any of the digital platforms. Apple's got it. A lot of the digital platforms have got it. It's wherever you can buy books. If you have a little bookstore that you like, and they can actually order it from the catalog, the book catalogs that they have.
yeah.
It's everywhere. It's not just an Amazon book.
Right. Hold on. Sorry. Hang on. Clear. One second. And oh yeah, I just wanted to let you know. I just actually someone just recently, somebody posted on, I think, Facebook or something. They were holding up your book, and it said, "So happy it just arrived," and she was holding it up. So
Yeah, no, I saw there were a bunch of those this year. That people on there was people on Twitter too that were holding it up and
Yeah.
saying, "Look what was under my tree." And
Yeah.
that really makes me feel good. I mean, when I originally wrote the book, I was not, um, I was not, I didn't know exactly what was going to happen. I had written a very successful blog for a while, and people liked the blog so much they kept saying, write a book. And then I started going to these writer seminars across the country. I would speak on panels at film festivals, and I would actually go to film festivals and speak on panels. And I had a bunch of them scheduled for this year, for 2020, that I never got to go to because
Yeah.
COVID. And I would, and writers conferences across the country where I did, and everybody had a book to sell, and I didn't. And I said to my wife, "Everybody's got a book," and she said, "So write one."
Yeah.
And I sat down and over a few months' time and wrote this book.
Oh.
And the first version of it got out there, and it had some typos in it that that the editor didn't catch and that I didn't catch. It's embarrassing, and we fixed them, and so it's out there now, much better.
All right. Well, Bob, I want to thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And yeah, everyone, just definitely, keep in touch with each other. Jackie here says this was the most informative seminar I've ever attended on the business of writing to get noticed. Thank you, Bob. Wow.
Thank you, Jackie. I really appreciate it. And you've got my email. If you want that Hallmark information, email me. I would be more than happy to send it. If you'd like one of the scripts to look at, please put that in the email, and I will be happy to send you one of the scripts.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you, Bob, and thank you for telling us all about your book and all about your wisdom in writing holiday scripts and other scripts, and we really appreciate it. And
my pleasure.
Thank you.
Whenever you need me back, I'll come back. Happy New Year to everybody. Let's get 2020 behind us, because it sucked. It was a dumpster fire of a year that needs to go away.
Definitely. Oh, and Madeline said there, thank you, super informative. We'll watch one of your movies tonight.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, if you like dark comedies, Extracurricular is one to watch. If you like light family fare that's really good and has a good message, Farmer and the Belle Saving Santa Land, they're both on Amazon Prime. And they're both, I'm really proud of both of them.
Wonderful.
They couldn't be further apart as far as genre, but I'm really proud of both of them.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for all our participants for being here, and thank you, Bob. And we'll look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks.
Well, I hope so. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.